Hi everyone, so I guess the day's over. Today was one of the shortest days of the year. The scientists can't figure out why the earth is spinning faster than normal, and I think it's funny. But anyway, it's good. God keeps us entertained. God makes us wonder what is happening. And so today I just want to give thanks for all the good things that I have in my life. And when we do the daily examen, that's what we do. We pause to slow down, to give thanks to God for the things in our life that are good. We ask God to help us with our shortcomings, with our failings, and to help us to do better tomorrow for Him. It's always for Him. It's for God. It's not for ourselves. And my brother and myself, we don't earn big wages. We work very, very hard, but we don't earn big wages. So for people like me, it's not like I came into Canada and I got jobs paying over $50,000 a year and I was able to buy my property and secure everything. It's exactly the opposite. When I first came to Canada, I slept on the floor in my place, and then we had family friends who don't keep in touch with me anymore, but they took me to IKEA, Yvette and Yvonne Fernandez, and then I bought my futon from there, and they delivered that. So I slept on that for a few years, and then I got a bed, and that's the same bed I have now, and a mattress. I got it from the Bay on a sale. So slowly I built things up, and I bought new sheets and towels, and I replace those now every year because I'm working. Before that, I didn't have a job, so I couldn't replace things. And that's the beauty of our Gospels. Our Gospels teach us that there are those who come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. But Jesus comes that we might have life and have it more abundantly. And that's why we don't hoard our money. We buy things to make our lives comfortable, to make our lives easier, to beautify our homes, our bodies. We don't cut our bodies. We don't cut ourselves. We don't hurt our bodies, because the soul surrounds the body, and we do everything to beautify the body that God has given us. We do everything we can to look after it. Sometimes there's diseases that come against us, like my brother had cancer, and I have high blood pressure that it's uncontrollable. There's nothing you could do. I almost died. So, by God's grace, I'm still here. My brother's still here. And by God's grace, I hope to be able to go and see him. My cousin's husband, Stephen, he passed away. And every time I called Maggie to speak to her, he wasn't at home. He was traveling. So I never even got to see him, not even over WhatsApp, over the last 15 years or so. I saw him once when I went back to England, and he was working close to the airport, so I got to meet him. I went to his workplace. But this time when I went back, he wasn't working anywhere close to home, so I didn't even get to see him. And that's the sad part about poverty, is that you don't get to see family, you don't get to see friends, you don't get to meet them in person. It's nice to have the WhatsApp calls and all that, but it's always nice to see somebody and to meet them in person and to have that time together. But I have good memories, and it came as a shock to me, just like it came as a shock to many of us. And it is sad because, who knows? I mean, the way this planet is going now, we don't know if we're going to be here tomorrow. They're evacuating people across Canada because of the floods and the wildfires, 'Fires, and Calgary also got hit recently. 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 'Fires, and Calgary also got hit recently it's just like chaos. So anyway, I just give thanks for all that. And even my place that I rent here, when I moved in here, we didn't have all the amenities. But I've been here for 6 years now, and after a few years, they opened up all the amenities. They opened up the gym, they opened up the swimming pool. So all that saves me a membership, because gym memberships are expensive, and that's included in my rent. Having a washer dryer inside my unit, it helps me, because when I first came to Canada, I had to sit at a laundrette. I rented a room in a house, and I had to go out to the laundrette at Browns Line and Lakeshore, and I had to sit there. Sometimes there were drunks, there were drug addicts, there were all kinds of people that came in there. But I had to sit there and wait for my laundry and then go back to my unit. And I was lucky, the couple was very nice. It was a Polish couple, and they lived downstairs and I lived on the top with another lady. Then she moved out, and then a guy moved in, and he was very unclean. He used to not clean the stove, he used to let the oil drip, and he created a fire hazard. So there's different experiences I've gone through here, but I'm grateful that God has protected me. Even at Teleperformance, it wasn't a safe working environment, because there was gun crime in the area, and not far from us, they used to have holdups at the Tim Hortons. They used to have shootings every day. We used to sit in the office and just pray that nobody would come into the office. And one time there was a drunk guy that came upstairs, and the security guard wasn't even around. So we had nobody to call. We just had the manager said to him, "You need to leave." And thankfully he listened. But that's how I had to work. So I've had different experiences. I've had to have long commutes. When I worked at Steele's, that used to take me at least an hour and a half to go, an hour and a half to come. So that's part of the life journey. But God gives us those little seeds that we plant, and then people see that we are responsible, that we care about Canada. My brother cares about England, and through that we get our opportunities. I've worked on government roles for the local elections, federal elections. I've worked in churches, in libraries. So all of that helps me, and I'm hoping that all of the bad things that happen to me will actually lead to something very good coming up for me. A nice paid job where I can buy my own place and where I can be secure. Unfortunately, when I got laid off, I told TD in 2007, "I've got my mother coming to stay with me. I just bought a place. Can you not find something else?" And they said, "No, we don't have anything." I even offered to go to England. They said, "No, we don't have the budget." So that's how I landed up losing my place, because then I kept it for a long, long, long time. I had it for almost 10 years. I kept it and I made the payments. I kept up the payments. But unfortunately, that job never fell into place, so I couldn't keep it. And so now I just put it in God's hands. I'm grateful for everything I've managed to build up. But again, these are all material things, because all the floods, all the fires, everything that's happening, it's all causing destruction to Canada. And not only to Canada, but also to other parts of the world. So I enjoy the things while I have them, but I put my faith in God. And God always does something unusual in our lives. He does something to make us turn and look and to come back to Him with grateful hearts. So that's what I wanted to reflect on. And also the people in our lives. Like when we were growing up in Zimbabwe, there were times we didn't have food. And my mother she couldn't give us anything. So we used to go to sleep hungry because we didn't have anything. So sometimes I used to call Mrs. Harry because Mrs. Harry was our neighbor and they were very close to us. So sometimes I would call her and I would say, Auntie Rukmani, we don't have anything to eat. And she'd say, you come here, and she'd give us like dokla and rotis and whatever they were eating. And she'd say, you can take it and go home, and then if you tomorrow I'll give you also. So we were very blessed in that way, because if they were not our neighbors, then we wouldn't have had any food at all, because things got so hard for us in Zimbabwe. And even here in Canada, I used to go to sleep hungry. When I was working at HSBC, I didn't have any food, and the food banks never helped me because they said, oh, you're working, and you're working at the banks, so we're not giving you anything. I said, yeah, I know I'm working at the banks, but I don't have any food. I need help. And they said, no, we're not giving you anything. So nobody gave me anything. I couldn't get food from the churches. I used to phone Our Lady of Lourdes. It's a Jesuit parish. I used to phone them, and they never used to get back to me. Even now, in those last 6 years, I used to contact all the different food banks, because my mother and her husband never came to see me that often, because they're also elderly. They don't keep that well. So I thought, let me try and contact the food banks here, and then I can get my own, because when they come, they get from his church, and it's not a Catholic church, it's a Christian church, and then they share it with me. But nobody would help. Everywhere I phoned, they would just not get back to me, or just tell me, no, we can't help you. So I never got anything. So that's why I'm grateful for whatever I have, and even all this fatty liver disease I have, high blood pressure, anxiety, of course you're going to get that. If you're eating pastas all the time, then starches, potatoes, because those are the filling foods. Those are the foods that keep you feeling full. So of course you're going to develop all these diseases. But that's how it goes. If you're born poor, sometimes those diseases only catch up with you later in life. And sometimes it happens when you're in the rich countries, because the rich countries want slavery. They don't want to pay a fair wage. They don't want to promote you. They don't want to train you. They don't want to give you money towards your professional dues. They just want everything ready-made. And they tell you, you are the CEO of your own life and your own company. So it's sad, because they're doing themselves down, they're doing the companies down, because there's nobody to learn from. They're just hiring people just in time to do something, and then they're letting them go. So it's sad, but I got tired of banging my head against the wall, and I got tired. I used to email Father Damien all the time and tell him, this is what's happening, this is what's happening. And Peter Knox, like, can't you guys do something? Like, I'm banging my head against the wall. I used to tell Father Larry, I used to tell the Jesuits at Regis, nobody did anything. So I'm like, you know what? I can't do anything more. I've done everything I can. I've taken it to the right authorities. I even took things to the Human Rights Commission at the request of the banks, because of what Credit Suisse lawyers were doing to me. And lo and behold, they just left it. I didn't get a dime from that. But that's the injustice that happens. There's people, I've met young men who have worked with me, who have told me that they were heterosexual. And one young man told me that he went into the office, his boss told him that he wants him to work late. They had a big project to complete. And then he sent everybody home, and he pushed him over the photocopier and he raped him. And he sued them. The case went on for years and years and years, and at the end of it, they gave him peanuts. That's what's happening. It's not happening in Africa. It's happening right here in Canada, in Toronto. And it's sad. I've met a lot of different people in Canada. I've heard a lot of different stories of people's personal journeys. But I just pray that God keeps me safe. And I thank God for those who have helped me. And I carry on, and I'm also a benefactor now to many different religious institutions, people that help, non-profits. So those are also blessings, we believe, in the Catholic tradition, that when you give alms, when you give clothes, when you carry out corporal and spiritual acts of mercy, those are also acts that bring God's blessing into your life, and it brings God's healing into your life. So those are just some things that you can think about when you're praying, like who can you give thanks for, what can you give thanks for, and I can only do so much. The rest is also in the hands of others and what they choose to do, because some companies choose to perpetuate cycles of violence and perpetuate poverty and perpetuate profits at all costs, and that's why companies take jobs to Africa, because Africa is the next place where they can get cheap labor. When I started working like at Regis College, I was earning $11.25 an hour. At Teleperformance, I was earning that. So you can't survive on that. You can't pay your bills on that. It's impossible to get healthcare and benefits and everything on that. Maybe if you're part of the religious organization, then that's all provided for you. Your clothing, your bedding, your expenses, all that's provided, a place to stay. But for me, it's not, because I'm not religious. I'm a lay person. So whatever I do, I work for what I have. And I rely also on people helping me, giving me financial help. And some people in the community do that, because they see I've set up my GoFundMe link. They see my posts, my speaking posts for John Maxwell, even the exercises, the singing. Some people like that. So some people give me money in that way. But I'm also a normal person. I also need to work and to earn my way and to earn my own living. So I continue to apply for jobs, apply for work, and slowly build up my life. And considering what I've had to deal with, the racism from a young age, overcoming obstacles, being made a refugee in England, they didn't want to keep me there, being pushed from one contract to the other, I've managed very well. And I'm fortunate I've got a very good team of doctors. So that's also a blessing to me. And thankfully, they caught my blood pressure in time. It's a pity I didn't live in Africa, because apparently when it's hot weather, it's good for high blood pressure, because it opens up your arteries and it makes you sweat. So that's why a lot of people move from places like here, Canada, England, all the cold places, to Africa, because the climate is so good for people's health. Whereas here, the climate is very changeable. But anyway, it's good to think about, how God has blessed us, how God has moved in our lives. And the financial piece is important to meet your responsibilities and to meet your expenses and to be able to do things. I mean, travel is not that expensive. You can get tickets for $500 from here to London. It's not that expensive. The TVs are cheap, but because I earn so little, I couldn't do anything. So after I bought this TV in 2023, after coming here in 2002, so it took a long time for me to accumulate the things I've got, because nobody was willing to help me. But anyway, God helped me. That's what I can say. God helped me, and since I've graduated, since I've been working, my cousin in Vancouver, Kathy, she also sent me a little bit of money as a gift to me, because I have been going through such a hard time financially. You can't even go and get your teeth repaired properly. If you do, you'll have to go like to the students or somewhere like that. if there's no proper health care. So there's a lot of differences between here and Africa, but it is what it is. Maybe God will bless me and I'll go back there and I'll get a nice, good paying job. Or maybe it will be here. I don't know what His will is. But my cousin and I, my cousin Sharon and I, we're very close. And in all these years I've been here, my sister disappeared off the planet somewhere. I never heard from her. She never phoned me, never talked to me. So it's them. It's my cousins that stayed close to me. My cousin Sharon and Kathy, they were the ones who stayed close to me and who gave me the moral support. And we always say, we don't know why this is happening to us, but we know that God has a plan for everybody. And we just put our trust in the Lord, and we say, Lord, you brought us this far, and we're relying on you to take us on the rest of this journey. Sharon misses me the same way I miss her, but we're on different continents now, so that's the way it is. And I just feel like if there's something I want to do, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I've always made my own decisions. If I get those opportunities to sing for Elvis in churches, at theaters, I'm going to take them and I'm going to do it. Because his gift to me is his music and his life. Oh no, he wasn't arrogant like these singers today. He was humble. And he was humble before the Lord. And that humility shone through. And he even paid for an operation. There was a little blind girl that came onto the stage in one of his concerts, and he knelt down in front of her and he put his hands on her face, and he paid for the surgery to have her eyesight restored. That's what I call a generous man. That's what I call a kind man, and that's what I call a compassionate man. And if my standards are too high for you, well, too bad. That's the way it is. I love Elvis.